Hello and welcome to episode 3 of View from the Sideline podcast. I'm Chris and Rich is here.
Hi everyone.
Again, just another massive thank you to everyone who has liked us on our different social medias and shared us all over Twitter. I've actually got a special mention for another podcast. They're called Burkamp Wonderland. They gave us a little shout out on Twitter as well, and that helped us get a few more views on YouTube. Also, we've had some feedback through Twitter. Adam has contacted us with quite a good topic that we are actually going to use probably within the next couple of weeks about loans and does the loan system work in this country. He's also mentioned some stuff about maybe getting the lower leagues involved, which we are going to look at some point in the near future. And Rich is now going to discuss what we're talking about this week.
Yep, so this week we've got the weekly teaser again. So I hope you're ready, Chris. I've got an absolute beauty for you this week. And then we're going to go into a review of the weekend's matches. Then we've got Chris's topic for this week, which is the Champions League and Europa League draws from last week. So we'll be taking a look at the chances for the British sides involved. No predictions this week because it's an international break, but we will summarise the predictions from the week just gone. And then we'll finish off with the reveal of the weekly teaser. Just go through the ways you can get in touch with us again and just let you know what we're going to be doing next week because we've got a special podcast for you next week.
Okay, so Rich, go ahead with your teaser for this week. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier. Cause,
are you ready for this? So
yeah,
what I want you to tell me is which current Premier League club was relegated in the first ever season of the Premier League. So, it won't help you at all, but I'll let you know. So the teams that got relegated in the first ever Premier League season were Nottingham Forest, Middlesbrough, and I want you to tell me the other club that was relegated. But they are a current Premier League club.
So again, a 1 in 20 chance. Well, the odds are probably a little bit smaller than that actually, because I can probably eliminate a few of them already. But
I'm not sure you were actually born then, were you?
Yeah.
How old were you then?
So what was that? 90? When did they start the Premier League? 92?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it'd been 90s. 4 or 5.
Oh, well, you should have been paying attention. You should know this. But
we'll
reveal that later on.
I'll try and have a think about that whilst we're talking. Okay, so we'll go into the weekend's review. And there is no other place that I really want to start than the Watford-Tottenham game, and I'm sure Rich is going to have a big opinion on this one because, it was a good game if you're a Watford fan, not so much if you're a Tottenham fan. So, Rich, I'll let you have a little talk about this one.
I think it was a great game if you're a Watford fan. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think I could have two heads on here. I could have my Tottenham fan head on, or I could have a neutral head on. But I think from a Spurs point of view, I've got to be honest. As soon as I saw that Lloris was not playing and Vaughan was between the sticks, I think it's probably the same for a lot of Premier League clubs. But whenever your backup keeper seems to play, you lose any confidence your team's got that they're going to win.
So, just quick question: was Lloris not playing because of the incident that happened?
No, he had a thigh strain, I think.
Okay, so it was an injury,
not the week before. He wasn't on the bench.
He
wasn't even in the squad. But
okay.
I think in a way, Spurs scoring was the worst thing that could happen to them because I thought it was quite even before the own goal, and there were sort of some half chances. I think in the whole game, Spurs had like 2 shots on target, but honestly, as soon as Spurs scored, Watford just turned into a different team. They were just piling on the pressure. And for the first time in a long time, I just didn't think that Spurs coped with it very well. And they conceded 2 bad goals, really, 2 set-piece goals, 2 headers. And it just wasn't a great game. But Watford deserved to win it. There's no doubt about that. I think the best team won, really. But the other frustrating thing for me was why didn't keep Danny Rose in the team? I thought he had a really good game against United, but Ben Davies came back in, and I know he likes to rotate the fullbacks, but I would have played Rose personally. But yeah, Watford deserved to win it, so
I've got
a
little thing for you to think about right now. So the season before Leicester won the league, they ended up on 41 points. They won 11, drawn 8, and lost 19 games. Last season, Watford ended up on 41 points. They won 11, they drawn 8, and they lost 19 games.
Are you saying Watford are going to win the league?
No.
They've had a good start. But
I saw that, and it made me think for all of about 5 seconds that would it ever happen again? And I thought no. I think
the summary of that game was Pochettino's face when the final whistle went, and when he was interviewed after, he just looked gutted. He just looked so disappointed, and I think that's the way most Spurs fans felt, to be honest. But well done to Watford.
Tough game next though for you.
Well, yeah, let's not talk about that at the moment.
All right, so
the wounds are still healing.
The early kickoff Saturday was the Leicester-Liverpool game. A few things on this. Obviously, the glaring error by Karius number 2, aka Alisson. Now, I know keepers. They like to do a bit with their feet now and again, but I think probably then was not the time to do it. Probably a bit overconfidence, maybe. I thought.
I don't really think there's ever a good time for a keeper to try and take on a centre forward that's closing them down. But I can't help but think that we worry too much about keeper errors. They're always going to be highlighted, especially if they lead to a goal. But if they didn't take 3 points from that game, I think it's an error. It's a pretty bad error, but I think we can. He's kept 3 clean sheets in a row. I think we can give him that one.
So do you think because they won, he kind of gets a free pass on this one, that it didn't actually cause them to lose the game? Because I actually thought that Leicester actually played quite well, and I didn't think Liverpool defensively were as good as what they've been in the previous 3 games. But
no, I think when Liverpool got the second right on half time, I thought that was going to kill the game, but to be fair to Leicester, they came out, and I think they had the better of the second half.
Definitely,
really. Put a lot of pressure on Liverpool. But the one thing about Liverpool, especially in the second half, that's probably a game maybe the last couple of seasons that they wouldn't have won.
No,
they wouldn't have won that. They would have buckled under the pressure.
They would have ended up drawing or losing.
I hate to say it, but I think they did pretty well. But just on Leicester, Maddison looks a quality player for them. He looks a really good signing.
Yeah, so they signed him from Norwich, didn't they, in the summer? Because I think there was a few clubs after him.
He looks a good player. He looks a good player.
Yeah.
And obviously that's his last game of his suspension, so he'll be back. But I think Leicester will be all right.
They'll be all right.
It was a good game.
Yeah. Brighton-Fulham. 2-2, entertaining game. Mitrovic again scoring for Fulham, and obviously Glenn Murray getting the goals for Brighton.
I think Mitrovic is your ideal fantasy football player to put in your fantasy team. He's probably not too expensive, but he's going to score goals. But to be honest with you, just as I was thinking that, he went and went and handled it in the area and gave away the penalty. But
Yeah, it was
there was a
not
bit.
great, not
Yeah, I'm
great
not sure what happened. I
concentrating.
think he lost sight of it.
Yeah, it just came down. But if you're a Newcastle fan, you must look at Mitrovic and just kind of think, why would we sell him if if he can play that well? Because he basically Mitrovic has went and played in the Championship for a season just to prove that he can score goals, and he's come back up to the Premier League now, and he's still scoring goals.
Yeah,
I just find it hard to
maybe he
believe.
didn't. Maybe he just didn't want to be at Newcastle. I don't know. I
No,
think he's. I think he's a good player. I think he's got goals in him, but he's got a bit of a crazy error in him as
yeah,
well. But it was a funny game. I thought. I think from Fulham's point of view, they'll be sort of gutted that they let a 2-0 lead slip. But Brighton, on the other hand, from 2-0 down, they'll be happy with a point.
definitely one of
But
the
I think
more.
I know I tipped Fulham to go down, but they play some really good football. Their first goal
Mm,
was brilliant, the pass and the movement, and then the finish. But I don't. I think this game kind of proved my thinking really. I'm not sure Fulham have got a lot of backbone in them. I think they could be a bit easy to roll over at times.
yeah. Right. So next up is potential champions in Chelsea against Bournemouth. Um, Another dominating performance from Chelsea, but yet again another opposition that have decided to sit back and try and get a point out of the game rather than really show any sort of attacking play,
Yeah,
to be honest.
I
But
think but you say that, but Bournemouth had some really good chances.
they had
Uh,
they had
oh,
one good chat with Callum Wilson. He should have scored that.
yeah, Nathan Aki had another one as well when it was
Yeah, but
0-0.
he wouldn't dare score against Chelsea. We made that boy. He wouldn't score against Chelsea. He missed that. He looked at the crowd. He looked at the crowd and he thought, I can't do it. Can't do it.
I can't score against
He
them.
stuck it. He put his foot back.
Oh, I would have loved it if he'd scored, then kissed the badge.
That really
That
annoys me.
that that.
Did you see Courtois do that at the weekend
Oh yeah,
for
he's
Real
always
Madrid?
been Madrid, though, isn't he?
He,
But I thought Bournemouth played pretty well, to be honest. I
in
agree with Eddie Howe when he said after the game that they were in the game for the whole 90 minutes. And I completely agree with that. They had some really good chances. And at 0-0, it was kind of anyone's game. But
yeah,
I see that he bought Giroud and Pedro on, didn't he, for Willian and Morata. I didn't even know
right.
Morata still played for Chelsea, to be honest. He's that non-existent. Um, but that kind of changed the game. I think the talking point for that one is your best mate Alonso,
You think he should have been
and
sent off?
there was a few for his second yellow. I wonder when he blocked the throw in, if he wasn't on a yellow card, I think the ref would have booked
He
him.
would have got booked for that. That's what I put. That's what I thought as well. That he's probably lucky in a sense that he had been already booked. So I think the referee kind of let him off that one.
Yeah,
But
I
if he
agree. I agree. But a good win for Chelsea, 4 out of 4.
4 out of 4, Cardiff
I
next at
think
home as well.
I think there's a
5 out of
stat
5.
rolling around that there's only 5 new Premier League managers have won their first 4 games in a row, and 3 of them are Chelsea. 3 of them are Chelsea
We
managers.
pick 'em, mate. We pick 'em.
Well,
They just
yeah.
don't last very long after the first season. That's the
No,
only
that's it.
thing.
They win the first 4, then it falls apart.
Okay, Palace and Saints. This was obviously on paper a bit of a shock result, I would say. Obviously, Saints not having the best start to the season, but definitely the best that Southampton have played for some time, especially going forward. And obviously, a couple of weeks ago, I did mention about Danny Ings, and that probably wouldn't bring them many goals, but he's actually started off really well. I think he's scored in his last 3 away games for Southampton, so
Yeah, I
he's
felt the
obviously doing
same. I
pretty
wasn't I
well.
wasn't sure what he'd bring to Saints, but the thing with Palace, I'm sure everyone knows this. Like stat alert coming your way, Chris. If Zaha doesn't play, Palace don't win.
No,
Literally. So he was. So I heard he was injured in training. If I was Roy Hodgson, I wouldn't let him train. I would literally rest him all week and just let him play at the weekend. Because
Bad
without
idea.
him, they're just a completely different team. Completely different team.
Yeah. The Saints keeper had a good game.
Yeah, he's just been called
Pulled
up
off
for England.
some good saves. And he played for Yeovil a few years back.
Oh, did he? Are they in
Yeah.
line for a windfall then?
So that's another one. Playing for England now. Other
But
than that,
Palace didn't help themselves. Their
nah,
defending for the first goal was
atrocious.
yeah, and then the handball. I mean, it was easier to kick it than it was to handle it, but he still went with his hand. But
Yeah.
Charlie Austin sort of let him off with a penalty, and then
That wasn't a great penalty. That was
no, it was a poor
literally.
penalty,
It
but
was so
a good
slow,
win.
so down the middle. It was,
Yeah,
either,
a good win for Saints, but Palace were pretty poor. If I was a
yeah.
Saints fan and you didn't win that game, I would have been a bit annoyed.
So the Everton Huddersfield game, Huddersfield, good point for them. I would have thought Everton will probably be quite disappointed by that game. To be honest, it's probably a game that they probably thought that they should be getting 3 points in, but Huddersfield actually defended really well. It's the first time I'd actually seen Huddersfield would defend that well for some time.
I thought a draw was a fair result, to be
In
honest.
the end, it was, yeah.
I thought Huddersfield were pretty solid. My thing with Everton is I can't see how they've actually improved from last year. I know they've bought Richarlison and a few other players, but he's out suspended. But I
Without
can only sort of see them finishing 7th or 8th again.
Okay, so the West Ham Wolves game, to be honest with you, not the best of games in the world that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, probably the worst game of the weekend. Not really many points to take away from it, to be honest.
I'd say it's the worst game of the weekend if you're a West Ham fan.
Another defeat.
They've got no fight. It almost looks as if the players aren't making any sort of effort. There's a lot of walking going around. But I think for that one, I don't think necessarily think the focus should be on how poor West Ham are. But I think it's a really
Okay, so the West Ham Wolves game, to be honest with you, not the best of games in the world that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, probably the worst game of the weekend. Not really many points to take away from it, to be honest.
I'd say it's the worst game of the weekend if you're a West Ham fan.
Another defeat.
They've got no fight. It almost looks as if the players aren't making any sort of effort. There's a lot of walking going around. But I think for that one, I don't think necessarily think the focus should be on how poor West Ham are. But I think it's a really good win for Wolves.
Yeah, especially right at the end of the game as well, getting the goal.
They're going to surprise a lot of people. And with Traore, who scored the goal, he's so quick.
Unbelievably quick.
If he's used as like an impact sub in the last 10-15 minutes of games, he's gonna open defences up with his pace. So yeah, West Ham, we can say a lot of new players, takes time to gel as much as we want, but they've got to start winning at some point.
Yeah, 4 defeats out of 4 is not especially if you're a new manager at a club. Doesn't really look good for you, does it? If you've lost your first 4 games.
Of good players. They've got a lot of good players.
Yeah, but
and I think they'll stick with Pellegrini.
They're not going to get rid of him.
I hope they do.
They won't get rid of him. They can't.
I hope the fans sort of stick with them because I'm sure they'll come good. They're not going to get relegated, but they're not going to be top 4. So I'm not sure what the expectation is for West Ham fans this year, but a good win for Wolves. They'll surprise a lot of teams this year, I think.
City Newcastle, a 2-1 win for Manchester City. Sterling scoring the first goal for City. Newcastle getting back into the game, I think, was quite a surprise the way that the game was being played. Manchester City were dominating, but then Newcastle got one break and scored from it.
It was completely against the run of play.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like what you mentioned about Bournemouth, sort of parking the bus, if you like, and even Huddersfield to a certain extent. But that seems to be Newcastle's game at the moment. I know
But
they've played some. I know they've played some big teams, but I'm not sure where they go. I'm not sure where Newcastle go, to be honest.
it's hard. Problem is playing. They played like that against Chelsea as well last week, and
Yeah,
they
that
didn't.
was at home though, but
Yeah,
that's not like Newcastle. I think the only thing that I was impressed with about Newcastle in that game was the keeper. I like their keeper, but
yeah, he had a good
if
game.
it wasn't for him, it would have been more. You sort of going away to City and losing 2-1. You could almost say it's not a bad result.
So do you think that they defended in that game like they did because they just didn't want to concede more than 2-3 goals for goal difference purposes later on down in the season?
I think they probably went there to get a point, but with City scoring relatively early,
Yeah,
I think it changes the game plan. And Newcastle, it was against the run of play, but a goal's a goal, isn't it? And then sort of Kyle Walker's goal, I don't think he'll hit many better than that. But it was all City. I
yeah.
mean, if they had their finishing boots on, it would have been a lot more. And if it wasn't for the keeper as well, but City winning, grinding out a result, I guess, which is a bit of a worry for everyone else.
Yeah. Cardiff Arsenal. 3-2 winners for Arsenal. Arsenal again looking very shaky at the back. Even this is no disrespect to Cardiff at all. Even against Cardiff, they looked every time Cardiff went forward. Arsenal just didn't know what they needed to do. They didn't know where they needed to be, and this whole playing out from the back for them with Czech, I think it happened twice in like the first 15-20 minutes. He got the ball, tried to play it out from the back, and they've nearly shot themselves in the foot, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Czech had a few wobbly moments, but I'm not sure why they bought a new keeper and spent a lot of money on him.
It's very
And
strange.
Czech still playing, but I think Arsenal's they've got going forward. They've got some brilliant players, but
That's
they're
well,
always a bit suspect at the back, and I'm not sure they've sorted that out this season.
no.
And I think
That's what saved them really at the weekend was the fact that they had
going to
goal
Cardiff's
scorers
always going to
on
be
the.
difficult. Like back in the Premier League, the fans are going to be up for it. The players are going to be up for it. But I mean, it's Cardiff got their first goal since they got promoted, so that's one thing.
I think they'll take
But
a lot from that game, Cardiff. I think that
yeah, I
they'll
do.
see
I
that they
don't.
can break these teams down, that they can go forward, they can score goals.
I think we expected Arsenal to win, but I
Yeah,
don't think we expected it to be as close as it was. But
no,
yeah, a win's a win, isn't it? And I think
yeah.
it won't do Cardiff any harm. It'll do their confidence the world of good.
So the Burnley Manchester United game, pretty straightforward win for Manchester United. Another defeat for Burnley, and again another defeat after playing a Europa League game on Thursday.
Yeah, but they're out now, aren't they?
Yeah, they're out, so
So
hopefully
hopefully
they'll
that
be all
won't.
right now.
I I I I would say that's probably the best team United could have played after the
At that
start to the
point,
season
yeah.
they've had. Normally going to Burnley is quite a tricky game, but since they've been in Europa League, I think they look tired. So I'd
Yeah.
say it was probably the perfect game for United.
What did you think about the sending off?
Oh, I don't know. It's tricky. You're gonna get if you do that, you're gonna get sent off. I
Yeah.
mean, he doesn't headbutt him.
No,
They
you get
almost just sort of like
so they
touch
make
foreheads. But
so they
the
make
one thing,
contact head to head, but so so this is all built up from a tackle that Barnsley's made, but
yeah,
then after the tackle, he's kicked at Rashford.
yeah,
Rashford has reacted in a way he probably shouldn't react on a football pitch because you know as soon as you go head to head, if you're making that first contact, you are going to be sent off. But would you say that Bardsley was lucky not to have been sent off as well? But do you think he didn't
what
see
for the
the?
tackle?
Well, for the tackle was all right. It was the kick after the tackle.
Yeah, but he got a yellow card. But the bit that I found a bit strange is if you watch it, after Rashford does the initial contact head to head,
Yeah,
Bardsley does exactly the same thing
but
back to him.
he's trying to provoke Rashford into doing something
Yeah,
else.
but
Clearly,
in my opinion, what Bardsley does to Rashford after
is
is no
the
different. So I
same.
think
Yeah.
if you're going to send Rashford off, I think you've got to send Bardsley off
That's
as
what I
well.
thought.
I think he got the yellow for kicking out.
Yeah, but does that not you've seen players sent off for that sort of stuff before? So
You have,
I don't
but I
understand.
mean, I agree with you. If you're Rashford and you do what he did, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get sent off. But watch it afterwards. In
Yeah.
like the melee after it, Bardsley does exactly the same back to Rashford, but he doesn't get sent off. But I think from the point of view of the game, I think United played well. To be honest, I think Lukaku looked good, got the 2 goals. I think United looked pretty comfortable. To be honest, I don't think Burnley offered that much of a threat.
No.
Unfortunately, the game will probably be overshadowed by the red card.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that takes some of the attention away from United. Is that a bad
So
thing for them at the
Mourinho will
moment?
probably
But
be quite happy about that if it takes the attention off him for five
yeah, but
minutes. So.
it was a good result. He was kind of in like a no-win situation, but that's why I think if they played Burnley at home, there would have been a lot more pressure on them. But going away, 2-0 win, it's a good
Good
result for
result.
them, I think. Apart from
Okay.
Pogba's penalty, that was poor.
Yeah, there was a lot of poor penalties this weekend.
Yeah, there was.
Not a good weekend for penalties. So this week's topic of choice, I chose, but it was quite an easy one to choose really because of the Champions League and Europa League draws. But just wanted to briefly talk about how we think the English clubs will get on in this season's competition. So you've got Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, and Man United in the Champions League, and Arsenal and Chelsea in the Europa League. So, as a Tottenham fan, Rich, your draw Barca into PSV, not the easiest of groups that you could have been handed.
No, it's not. But I think there's a couple of ways you can look at it. I think when we drew Madrid and Dortmund last year, I don't think anyone gave us much hope of getting through.
Yeah, a lot of people have written you off.
But I think, and at the end of the day, if you want to be playing in the Champions League to be playing the best teams in Europe, I know we'll come on to Chelsea later on, but if you look at it as a comparison, if you want a decent game of football, Spurs v Barca is probably better than Chelsea versus Bate Borisov from Belarus. So, but I'll be honest with you, I think so. It's a difficult group to predict, but I think that the first round of games is quite an interesting one in that group. So Barca have got PSV at home, so you'd expect Barca to get a victory there. And Spurs are away at Inter, and I think if the Barcelona game goes as you would expect, and if Spurs can get something in Milan, I think that just puts them on a good footing, because you would imagine that you'd imagine if Barca win every game that they play in the group stages, you're playing for second place.
Yeah.
So it's Spurs going to Milan and Spurs going to Eindhoven that are the sort of the crunch games. But I think we can qualify from that
I
group.
think you'll get through. When I was looking into it earlier at the weekend, I was looking at it, and I'm pretty sure the games against PSV, you should be able to win both of those. I think the Inter Milan one is going to be where I think you might be able to get something against Barcelona, maybe, but just saying that you don't, obviously the games against Inter Milan are going to be pretty crucial. And I think if you can get a draw against them, in your first
Yeah, I
game.
agree. Yeah, I agree. The only thing Spurs need is somewhere to actually play the games.
Yeah, you actually need a
That
stadium to play
yeah,
these
that's
games.
half the battle. But
Well, I've seen that they are.
I'd say we can go through from that group. I
Yeah,
don't think is is playing Real Madrid at home much different to playing Barca at home.
probably not.
Um, I mean, if we turned Barca over, that would be amazing. But I think as a Spurs fan, to see people like Messi and sort of Coutinho and that playing, it's not every week that happens. But
No.
I think we'll be all right. I can see us qualifying from that group.
Yeah. Well, I've done a little mini prediction on that one. I think you will get through. So.
Thanks, mate.
But I
That
don't
means a
see you
lot.
getting them much further than the round of 16. Because I think if the problem is if you finish second, you're going to come out against one of the big clubs again.
But you don't know who's going to win the groups, do you?
Well, yeah, I can see that, but I just hope. Well,
Real
let
Madrid
me
won it, and
rephrase what I just
they
said.
came second in their group last year, and they won it.
I'll rephrase what I said. I
Bayern
don't want you
Munich,
getting
I think they
further than the
came
round of
second.
16.
I'm not trying to prove you wrong, Chris, but I'm sure like Bayern Munich came second in their group as well.
All right, all right. We'll quickly just go over some of the other ones. So Liverpool, Napoli, PSG, and Red Star.
That's the
Again,
same for me.
this is going to
So
be the same as the Tottenham one. So you'll have probably
so
PSG win 5 out of 6 of the games,
yeah,
and
but
then
the first Liverpool's first game in that group is home to PSG. So I think it follows the same sort of pattern as the Spurs group. If Liverpool can get something out of that game, home to PSG, because Napoli are a good side.
yeah, I think that's where again Napoli are a very good side, and I think that they can if they turn up on the day they can probably beat Liverpool. But I still see Liverpool probably going through that group.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
No.
I think Liverpool will probably come second. I think PSG will probably win it, but I can see Liverpool getting past
Yeah.
Napoli.
The next group, Manchester City's group, which has got Hoffenheim, Lyon, and Shakhtar Donetsk in it, probably handed one of the easier draws of the competition. Hoffenheim, uh, obviously in Germany, not they're an okay team, but you'd expect City to probably win both of those. They might have the troubles against Lyon, maybe away, but again, I can't see them not progressing
No, I think that's a bit of a given.
with
I think City will go through there
out of
quite
the other
comfortably.
out of the other 3 teams. I think
It's between
Shakhtar
it's
because
between Lyon or Shakhtar, isn't it?
yeah,
But
they're a
isn't
good side.
something about Shakhtar's like off season or something that they wouldn't have played a lot of matches because when their league starts, something like that.
Yeah,
But I think it's a straight shootout between those two.
I think City will easily qualify from that. I can't see them having any problems, and I think this year I think Pep will probably he'll want to win the Champions League. I think definitely. I think he'll rest players in the Premier League when he knows he's got Champions League coming up. But I think
Well,
that's the one he knows
I think
that.
the fact they've got a more than winnable group
Yeah, and the
sort of
board.
means that they'll be in a place where they can maybe put a lot of a lot of focus on the knockout stages. I don't think they
Yeah,
need to worry too much. Even sort of their second string with the players they've got on the bench and the depth of their squad, I think they will. I think they'll get through that group quite comfortably.
United have got Juve, Valencia, and Young Boys in their group. That's it. Obviously,
It depends.
The
It depends
Juve
what
game's
Man
going to be.
United turn up. It depends what Man United. Last year they were in the same group as Sevilla, and I know that was the knockout stages, wasn't it? They lost to Sevilla.
Yeah,
So I think Valencia are a decent side, but if the Man United we know that is there or turns up, I think they'll get out of that group.
I've got them get. I think Juve will top that group. Man United will be second.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I think Valencia might be probably a tricky game going there. I can probably see Man United even probably winning all 3 of their home games. But we'll see. So I have done a little prediction on who I think will get to the final in the Champions League this year.
Okay.
So I've gone
This
for.
This is going to be a bold statement, Chris.
Well, yeah, this is before they've
Before the
even
group
started any of
stages
the
have even
games.
started.
Yeah. So I think it will be PSG and Man City final.
And
And
it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout.
I think that PSG will I think this might be PSG's year to win it. The thing is with PSG is they've got their domestic league is pretty straightforward for them. I would say they've definitely got games in there where they can literally just field a reserve side and still comfortably probably win and get 3 points, which gives the more experienced players a go in the Champions League and obviously try and get to the final.
But I think a lot of top European clubs are like that though. Their squads are so sort of full of talent. But I think Barca will win it.
You think Barca?
Yeah, I think they'll take it back this year. I think they look good.
So
I think they've always got goals in them. So
yeah, we'll move over to the Europa League now, which is some would say a bit of a hindrance, but I'm not going to say hindrance.
I won't talk in this bit, Chris, because I'm not linked to the Europa League in any way.
Being
in the Champions League.
Next year.
I think both. Just to summarise it quickly from my point of view, I think both the groups that Arsenal and Chelsea are in. I'd be surprised if they didn't top those groups. I think the only Sporting Lisbon, I mean, they're a good side, but I mean, Arsenal should.
They've lost half their squad.
Yeah, Arsenal should beat them, and with Chelsea, I think it's PAOK. That they're in the Champions League playoffs, I think, and they lost to Benfica.
Yeah.
So they've dropped down to the Europa League, but I can't see either of them having any problems. Really.
So I'll quickly run through the group. So Arsenal have got a carrier bag. Total
squad value of 5.
Carrier bag, yeah. Sporting Lisbon and this is a very hard one to say. Vorskla of the Ukraine.
We'll refer to them as the Ukrainian side.
The Ukrainian side, and then Chelsea have got Bate Borisov, which mentioned obviously from Belarus, PAOK of Greece, and Videoton of Hungary. So I'll just quickly summarise my thoughts on the draw. That obviously for both sides they were always going to probably be quite straightforward games for them. I can see Chelsea probably winning 6 out of 6. It's not from a biased point of view. It's just they probably should be winning all 6 of those games home and away.
I think the only hindrance that the Europa League has on you is the Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah.
For the Premier League, but I think this is where Chelsea will use their squad. I think you'll find people like Loftus-Cheek and that will be playing in these games.
Exactly what I was going to say. This will be a chance for those players.
If Danny Drinkwater's still there, I think he'll be playing.
I think this will be a chance for those players to kind of step up and show. They've said, especially Loftus-Cheek has come out and said a lot that he wants to be in that first team. So it'll be games like this where he has to go out there and kind of shine and show obviously everyone that what he can do. Because I personally think he probably should be playing. He should be in that squad somehow. They should fit him in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
With Arsenal, again, pretty straightforward for them that they should qualify easily. But
I would be pretty confident in saying that I think all 6 of the English teams will get out of their groups.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will win the Europa League. I think they'll win it. They won it in 2013.
Is that meant to be impressive to win the Europa League?
Name the last. Excuse me.
He'll get you in the Champions League, so it won't matter if you finish 5th.
So name the last English club to win the Champions League.
English club to win the Champions League?
Yeah.
Let me guess, Chelsea.
Correct, in 2012. So, and I tried to have a look at Tottenham in there of the last time they won the Champions League, mate, and I don't know. The records must have they must have somehow got mixed up because
you
I
never
couldn't
know,
find their name.
Because the one
I've
thing I
tried.
would say is we've got a better chance of winning it than Chelsea have this year.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
You have a better chance of winning the Champions. You
There
won't
you
win
go.
it, but you've got a better chance than
Well,
us
you
of winning
never
it.
know. You never know.
So quick on the Europa League as well. Last 15 seasons of the Europa League, or UEFA Cup as it was known as well. 9 times out of the last 15, a Spanish club has won it.
Yeah, but that's it. It's literally Sevilla and Atletico Madrid, isn't it?
Valencia.
that have won it pretty much every year.
It's pretty
But
good
I
though.
don't know. Well, Chelsea have got, of course, they've got a decent chance. It all depends who falls down from the Champions League. Could be a Spurs Chelsea final. You never know.
Yeah, but I've seen Tottenham in finals, mate. They don't fare so well. So yeah, that was this week's topic. That was quite fun actually. I quite enjoyed that. Rich, just a quick note on the predictions. I believe you got some stuff there.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we won't be doing predictions for this coming week because it's the international break. So the predictions will be back for next week's pod for the games next weekend. So it was my brother Chris was the guest predictor for the week just gone. I don't think we'll go through the scores too much because he won't be too happy.
No, I've looked at his results.
Yeah,
but
they weren't great. We've posted a sort of a mini table on Facebook and on Twitter today because we've had 2 rounds, so we've had the 2 guest predictors. So Chris and I are leading the way so far, so I guess that's a good sign that I've know what we're talking about.
I've lost the bit of paper I had, or what we predict the results as, and I've actually lost the one that I got correct. Which is the one that I actually got spot on?
I don't know, Chris. I've also lost that bit of paper, which had you correctly predicting Watford to beat Spurs.
I can't believe I
like the way that when we're picking these games, we're not putting Chelsea in. Maybe we should put Chelsea in.
No, we don't need to do that. I'm not predicting against my own team.
So we've got a guest predictor lined up for next week. But if anyone wants to join in, just drop us a note and we'll get you involved.
Yeah. So next week's guest predictor will be Greg. He's a Birmingham City fan, and he will be on, and he'll be doing the predictions, and that again will be on Facebook and Twitter. So we've got the reveal of the weekly teaser. Now,
have you actually thought about it, Chris?
I've had a thought about it, and I'm not going to lie, I've really struggled. It's just so difficult because it could be. I'm thinking it could be one of about 5 teams.
Yeah,
it's so difficult.
That narrows it down.
Well, yeah. I am going to say. Oh, this is difficult.
So it's a 1992-93 season.
92-93 season. All right, okay. I am going to go with Cardiff.
No.
Oh.
I'm not sure that I don't think they were even in the league then.
Oh, I don't know, do I? I can't remember back that far.
I don't want to tell you. I want to keep you guessing.
No, don't do that to me. I'll just Google it.
It was Crystal Palace.
Was it?
So it was Palace, Middlesbrough and Forest that went
They weren't
down.
even in the 5 I was thinking either. That wouldn't have gone very well, would it? Okay, so that is pretty much it for this week's podcast. I'll just go through a few ways that you can get in touch with us. Obviously through Facebook, which is View from the Sideline Podcast. YouTube again is the same, View from the Sideline Podcast. You can get in touch via email if you want to email about any topics that you might have. You can also Facebook us topics, tweet us topics. We'll go through them and have a look like Adam did this week. And he brought up a very good topic that we are actually going to use. So you can get us on email from viewfromthesideline@hotmail.com, or Twitter is VPTSL podcast. Just give us a tweet, give us a like, subscribe on YouTube. And Rich is going to talk about what we're doing next week.
Yeah, so next week, because the lack of Premier League games at the weekend, we're going to do a special edition of the podcast. So next week, Chris and I will be picking our combined Premier League 11 teams from players currently in the Premier League. So let's see how close we are with the teams that we pick. I'm sure majority of Chris's will be Chelsea, but we'll see.
All
we'll see
11 will probably be Chelsea.
Yeah.
But if you want to, if you've got anyone listening as well, if you want to send us on any of our social medias your 11, and we if we've got time, we'll read through some of them next week as well.
Yeah. And just to echo what Chris has said, so thanks to everyone for listening and subscribing and following us on social media. I think we've just hit over 200 views on YouTube. So bearing in mind we've only been going for a couple of weeks, it's sort of beyond our expectations. So
totally,
yes, spread the word.
Yeah. Well, that is it for this week's podcast. We'll be here again next week. So it's bye from me.
And bye from me.